Hello and welcome to the English Without Limit podcast. I'm Julia, and I'm so happy to have you here today. If this is your first time with us, let me share a little about what we do. This is the place where you can improve your English every single day. We focus on listening practice, real-life examples, and engaging stories that make learning natural, enjoyable, and easy to apply. We release new episodes regularly so you can practice English daily and grow more confident step by step. Today, we're talking about everyday English practice. I'll show you how to use English naturally in your daily life, even when you're busy, tired, or not sure where to start. I'll also share stories and examples from my life and from people I know to make it easier to understand and follow. Let's start with a simple question. How often do you use English during your normal day? Many learners tell me they don't have time to sit down for an hour and study. They think they need a book or a formal lesson to learn something new, but that's not true. English can be part of your everyday life without feeling like a burden. For example, I know a man named Daniel. He's a carpenter with a very busy routine. Every morning, while having breakfast, he spends just 10 minutes reading a short English article about home improvement tips. At first, he understood only a few sentences, but after a few months, he started recognizing many words. One day, a customer from another country came to his workshop, and Daniel explained his services in English clearly. He told me later that this small daily habit built his confidence more than he expected. Another great example is Sarah, a young mother living in a small town. She has 2 children and no extra time for a formal class. So she turned her daily routine into an English practice ground. When she cooks, she reads the recipe in English. When she goes shopping, she writes her grocery list in English. And in the evenings, she shares one new English phrase she learned that day with her husband. Her husband supports her and even asks her to teach him sometimes. Over time, Sarah started thinking in English when planning her day. This small change helped her progress much faster than before. One very powerful way to practice English every day is to describe what you see around you. Imagine walking to work or riding the bus. You can quietly describe what is happening. The street is busy. A man is crossing the road. The sky is cloudy. It may sound simple, but it trains your brain to connect English with real-life situations. I do this often when I travel. Last week, I visited a market to buy fresh vegetables. While choosing tomatoes and onions, I quietly said in English, "These tomatoes look fresh. I will buy half a kilogram." The vendor is smiling. Small exercises like this help build strong daily habits. Here's another story. Robert works in an office. He wanted to improve his English, but felt shy speaking with others. So he started a daily journal in English. Every night, he wrote 5 sentences about his day. One evening, he wrote, "Today was very busy. I fixed a problem with a client's order. At lunch, I learned a new word from my colleague." This practice took only 5 minutes, but after 3 months, his writing became much more fluent. Later, when his company needed someone to respond to international emails, Robert felt ready and confident. If you want to make your English practice more engaging, you can involve your family too. For example, Emily and her husband David made a small rule. During dinner, they share 1 sentence in English each day. Sometimes it's about plans. Tomorrow I will visit the market. Sometimes about feelings. I'm happy today because the weather is nice. Their children watch them and learn too. The goal isn't perfection, it's about using English naturally in real life. Many people think they need the perfect time or perfect resources to start learning. But let me tell you about James, a taxi driver I met last month. He always carries a small notebook. While waiting for passengers, he writes down 2 or 3 English words he hears from tourists. Later, he looks up their meaning or asks someone. One day, he wrote the word shortcut because a passenger used it. The next day, he practiced saying, "This road is a shortcut to the station." Slowly, his communication with foreign passengers improved. He even received more tips because he made their travel easier. Now, you might be wondering, how can I start this in my own life? The answer is simple. Pick one daily moment and make it your English time. It could be morning tea, your walk, prayer reflection, or folding clothes. You don't need to change your entire schedule. Start small and stay consistent. A student named Olivia once told me, "I never had time for a class, but I listened to a 5-minute English podcast every morning while preparing breakfast. Now I can understand conversations much better." Everyday English practice isn't about perfection. It's about connection. It's about bringing English into your real life. You can make mistakes. You might forget words. But every time you try, your brain strengthens in English. Think about your daily routine. Where can you add English without feeling heavy? Can you describe your morning? Write your shopping list. Greet someone with a simple English sentence. Small steps like these become powerful over time. Now, let's move on to more advanced ideas to bring English into your life. Many learners at the C1 level already know a lot of vocabulary and grammar, but struggle to express their thoughts naturally. One highly effective technique is called shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a sentence in English and immediately repeating it, matching the speaker's rhythm and intonation. For example, Thomas, an engineer, listened to short news updates in English during his commute. When the reporter said, "The company announced a new project this morning," Thomas repeated quietly, "The company announced a new project this morning." At first, it felt strange, but after 2 weeks, his pronunciation improved and he felt more confident speaking in meetings with international clients. Another method is explaining things in detail, even to yourself. For instance, instead of just saying, "I am making tea," try expanding. "I am boiling water, then I will add a teaspoon of tea leaves and let it steep for 3 minutes. This habit trains your brain to use descriptive language and full sentences. I practice this when preparing for a presentation. I described each step out loud. I am opening the laptop. I am reviewing the slides. I am checking the microphone. Later, when I spoke in front of the audience, my words came more naturally because I had trained my mind to build complete thoughts. Today, I want to share some powerful ways to bring English into your everyday life. Let's start with a story about a married couple, Daniel and Anna. They decided to improve their English together and created a small challenge. Every evening after dinner, they would pick a topic and talk about it in English for 5 minutes. One evening, their topic was planning a weekend. Daniel said, "This Saturday, I want to clean the garden and fix the broken fence." Anna replied, "I would like to bake bread and invite my sister's family for lunch." These short, simple conversations became a daily habit. After a few months, they noticed they were using more complex sentences like, If the weather stays sunny, we can finish the garden work earlier and then take a short walk. Another great practice is asking yourself questions in English during your daily activities. For example, when I go to the market, I ask myself, what do I need to buy today? How much should I spend? Which shop has the best prices? By asking and answering in English, you create a natural dialogue in your mind. A student named Samuel told me he started doing this while driving to work. He would ask, "What is my plan for today? Which task is the most important? How will I explain this project to my manager?" After some time, he noticed he could organize his thoughts in English much faster. This also helped him write better reports at work. Reading aloud is another powerful daily habit. If you only read silently, you may understand the words, but your eyes, mouth, and tongue don't get practice. Try reading aloud for 5 minutes every day. I remember a woman named Helen who worked in a hospital. She read medical articles in English aloud before starting her shift. At first, she stumbled over difficult words, but soon she could pronounce them correctly. When foreign patients came, she could explain things clearly because her mouth was already familiar with the phrases. Do you want to make your daily English even more active? Try teaching someone else a small thing you learned. Teaching is one of the best ways to remember information. For example, Peter used to learn 3 new words every day. After dinner, he would tell his wife those words and make 1 sentence with each. One day, he taught her the word efficient and said, "Today I was efficient at work because I finished my tasks before lunch." His wife smiled and used the same word the next day. Slowly, English became a shared practice in their home. Another story is about Laura, a teacher who wanted her students to become more fluent without extra homework. She gave them a simple task. Every morning, describe one part of the previous day in English. One student said, "Yesterday, I went to the bakery and bought fresh bread for breakfast." Another said, "I cleaned my room and organized my desk." These daily reflections help the students build strong habits without heavy study time. For advanced learners, it's also important to notice small differences in meaning. For example, there's a difference between "I am used to waking up early" and "I used to wake up early." One shows a current habit, the other a past habit. Practicing these phrases daily makes your English more precise. You can create your own sentences. For example, "I am used to drinking tea without sugar now, but before I used to add 2 teaspoons. Now, let's talk about another powerful habit, setting a daily mini goal. It should be small and clear. For example, today I will use 3 phrasal verbs in my conversation. Or, today I will write a message in English to my colleague. Andrew, who manages a small shop, set a goal to greet 1 customer in English every day. At first, he only said, "Hello, how are you?" But later he added, "Did you find everything you needed?" These small steps built his confidence. Now he can have full conversations with tourists. Let me tell you about Clara, who runs a small bakery with her husband Mark. They decided to welcome foreign customers. Clara started practicing English by describing her daily tasks in detail. Each morning while preparing bread dough, she thought in English, "I am kneading the dough to make it soft. I will let it rise for 1 hour." Later, she started writing short notes on the counter in English like, "Fresh bread available after 9 a.m." Soon, customers from different countries noticed her effort and started small conversations with her. This daily habit turned her bakery into a friendly place for locals and visitors, and her confidence grew. At this stage, you should also focus on expressing your opinions clearly. Many advanced learners understand others well, but hesitate to share their own thoughts. Try this simple activity. After reading a short news article or notice, ask yourself, what do I think about this? For example, if you read that a new park will be built near your house, saying, I think this park will benefit families because children will have a safe place to play. Richard, a man I know, practiced this technique while walking home from work. He read about local events and spoke his thoughts out loud. Over time, his ability to share opinions in meetings and casual conversations improved dramatically. Another powerful method is storytelling. Storytelling allows you to use past tenses, sequence words, and emotional expressions naturally. For example, imagine you had a busy day at the office. Instead of just saying, I was busy today, expand it. Today, I arrived at the office early because we had an important meeting. During the meeting, my manager asked me to explain a new project. I felt a little nervous, but I presented my ideas clearly, and my colleagues gave me positive feedback. Practicing storytelling helps you organize your thoughts and express them fluently. Henry, a man I know, shared one story every evening with his wife about his workday. At first, it was 2 or 3 sentences, but over time, his stories became more detailed and natural. A helpful daily routine for C1 learners is reformulating sentences. This means saying the same idea in a different way. For example, instead of saying, I am tired because I worked a lot today, try, I feel exhausted after a long day of work, or I had a busy day, so I need some rest. This skill is very useful in conversations because sometimes you forget one word, but you can express the idea differently. Maria, a teacher I know, practices this while cleaning her house. She picks one sentence and makes 3 versions of it while washing dishes or folding clothes. This helps her become flexible in English. Another helpful habit is asking detailed questions in English, not only to others, but also to yourself. When you meet someone, instead of asking, how was your day? Try, what was the most interesting part of your day? When reflecting on your own day, ask yourself, what task took the most time today? Why was it important? How did I solve the problems that appeared? This trains your brain to use English more deeply instead of staying on the surface. Let me start with a story about Kevin, a man who practiced English with his children. Every night he asked them in English, what made you smile today? Did you help someone? At first, their answers were short and simple, but over time, they became longer and more expressive. Kevin noticed that his own speaking improved as well. Another practical idea is using voice notes. Many of us send messages every day, so why not record a short voice message in English? For example, you could tell a friend or your spouse what you're doing. I just finished cooking lunch. Now I am planning to water the plants before we go out. Laura, a woman I know, started doing this with her husband. They exchanged 2 short voice messages every afternoon. After a few months, both of them spoke more smoothly and used more natural phrases. For learners who want to build strong vocabulary, connecting words with daily objects works very well. For example, when you pick up a spoon, say, this is a spoon. I use it to stir the soup. When you lock the door, say, I am locking the door to keep the house safe. These small phrases create strong memory links because they are connected to real actions. John, a farmer I met, learned English this way. Every morning while feeding his chickens, he said, "I am feeding the chickens with corn." After 6 months, he could describe his whole farm routine in English. When visitors came, he guided them easily. Another useful habit is imagining conversations in your head before they happen. If you are going to meet a supplier, think, "What will I say first? How will I ask about the price? How will I thank them?" This technique is called mental rehearsal. Stephen, a shop owner, used it every day before opening his shop. He imagined greeting customers. "Good morning. How can I help you?" He imagined answering questions. "Yes, we have this in stock. Would you like one or two?" Because of this daily mental practice, his real conversations became faster and more confident. Reading is always useful, but at this level, you can make it more active by summarizing what you read. For example, after reading a paragraph about a new technology, try to explain it in 3 sentences without looking. Hannah, a woman I know, practiced this with her husband. She read short articles during her lunch break and told him the main points in English at dinner. It became a habit for both of them and improved their speaking and memory at the same time. One advanced habit many successful learners use is reflection. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what English did I use today? What new word did I learn? Did I express something well, or could I have said it better? Writing this in a notebook takes less than 5 minutes. Michael, a technician, used this method. One evening he wrote, "Today I learned the word reliable. I told a customer, 'This machine is very reliable.' It felt natural to use it." The next day, he tried using reliable in another sentence with a supplier. This kind of review creates strong memory links. For people with families, involving them in your learning makes it more enjoyable. You can create small routines like one English question before bed. Charles and his wife Emma practiced this with their children. Each night they asked, "What did you like most today?" or "What do you want to do tomorrow?" in English. Their children answered, sometimes making mistakes, but they laughed and corrected each other. Soon, English became a natural part of their family talk. Another useful method is describing processes that are not happening right now, but are part of your responsibilities. For example, a manager can practice, "Next week, I will meet with the supplier to finalize the order. After that, I need to check the delivery schedule." A driver could say, "Tomorrow, I will pick up goods from the warehouse and deliver them to 3 shops." Practicing these sentences strengthens your professional English and prepares you for real situations. Another advanced technique is explaining tasks as if teaching someone new. For example, explain how to cook a simple dish, repair something, or send a package. Say it step by step. First, you fill out the form with your name and address. Then, you put the item in the box and pay the shipping fee. Teaching style speaking helps you organize ideas and speak clearly. Remember, advanced learning is not just about difficult words. It's about using simple words flexibly and accurately. Practice combining sentences with connectors like although, however, as soon as, and even though. For example, although it was raining, I went to the shop to buy vegetables. I finished my work early. However, I stayed to help my colleague. Philip, a man I know, created one complex sentence every morning before leaving for work. Let me tell you about Fiona, who manages a small clothing shop with her husband. They wanted to attract more foreign customers. Fiona started by labeling all their items in English: summer dress, casual shirt, discounted jacket. Every evening she walked around the shop and practiced sentences. This dress is available in 3 colors. Would you like to try a medium size? At first, she memorized them. Later, she created her own sentences for each customer. Her husband joined in, and English became a natural part of their sales process. Another strategy is practicing prediction. When you listen to a conversation or read a text, pause and try to predict what comes next. This makes you more active in understanding and improves your speaking. For example, I read a story about a farmer preparing his field. After the line, he checked the soil carefully, I predicted, he will probably plant seeds soon. This small mental habit trains you to guess meaning quickly, which is very helpful in fast conversations. To develop fluency, connect actions with reasons. Many people describe actions but forget to explain why. Instead of saying, I went to the post office, try, I went to the post office to send a package to my customer. Edward, a man I know, practiced this during his evening walk. I am walking to relax after a busy day because fresh air helps me clear my mind. After a few weeks, his sentences became longer and more expressive naturally. For advanced learners, using conditional sentences in daily life is very powerful. They help express possibilities and plans. For example, if it rains tomorrow, I will stay home and work on my laptop. If the meeting ends early, we can visit the new store together. Rachel, a teacher, created one conditional sentence every morning about her day. One day, she said, if my colleague is free, I will ask him to help me with the new project. This habit helped her use conditionals without hesitation. Another technique is self-dialogue, having a conversation with yourself in English. While preparing dinner, ask yourself, what ingredients do I need? How long should I cook the rice? Should I add more salt? Then answer your questions. I need 2 cups of rice. I will cook it for 15 minutes. No, I will not add more salt. Anthony, a driver I know, uses this method every morning while checking his car. He asks, is the fuel tank full? Are the tires ready for the long drive? Then he answers himself. This daily habit keeps his English active. Many successful learners also rephrase conversations they had during the day. If you spoke with a customer in your own language, later try to retell it in English. Say what you said, what they replied, and what you could have said differently. Clara, a nurse I know, did this after every shift. She said, today a patient asked me about his medicine. I explained the dosage, but next time I can say it more politely. Please remember to take 1 tablet after each meal. This kind of reflection prepares you for future situations and strengthens your English naturally. A very useful technique is creating micro-stories about what you see. For example, if you notice a man fixing a bicycle, you can create a quick story. This man is repairing his bicycle because he wants to ride to the market. He lost air in the tire yesterday, so he decided to fix it this morning. Laura, a student, practiced this while waiting for her bus every day. She made small stories about people walking by. Over time, she used past, present, and future tenses naturally. For C1 learners, mastering connectors and transitions is essential. Words like Therefore, as a result, on the other hand, and in addition, make your sentences smoother. For example, I was late to the shop, therefore I missed the morning customers. We finished cleaning the house. In addition, we organized the storage room. Peter, a warehouse manager, made it a habit to use one connector in each conversation with his staff. Another idea is explaining problems and solutions. Many people can describe problems, but don't explain how to solve them. For example, the printer is not working because the paper is jammed. I will remove the jam and restart the machine. Julia, who works in a small office, started doing this with her husband every evening. She explained one problem from her day and how she solved it. Soon, her ability to speak clearly in meetings improved. Pronunciation practice can also be part of daily life without extra time. Choose one sound you find difficult, like the in this or that, and say 5 sentences while doing a regular task. This table is heavy. That chair is near the window. This morning was cold. That shop sells bread. This is my new pen. George, a shop assistant, used this method while arranging products on the shelves. A habit that helps with both vocabulary and memory is categorizing words. Take 5 minutes a day to group similar words, then make a sentence with each. Lily, who runs a guest house, grouped words about cleaning: wipe, sweep, scrub, polish. She made sentences like, I need to sweep the floor before guests arrive. Over time, those words became natural for her. For advanced learners, a powerful exercise is explaining your decisions. For example, I decided to visit my parents this weekend because they need help with the garden. I chose to buy this type of bread because it stays fresher longer. Samuel, a technician, explained his choices out loud while shopping. It trained him to use reason and cause-effect language. You can also practice polite requests and suggestions in daily life. Many people know the grammar but rarely use it spontaneously. Try, could you please pass me the salt? Or, would you mind closing the window? Margaret, a homemaker, practiced this with her husband during dinner prep. Would you mind washing the tomatoes while I cut the onions? Slowly, her polite expressions became natural English. Another activity is describing changes you make around you. I moved the table closer to the window to get more light. I painted the wall white to make the room brighter. Paul, who runs a small repair shop, described every change he made while fixing items. It helped him explain his work to customers in English. For advanced fluency, practice handling unexpected questions. Ask yourself something unusual. What would I do if I had 1 extra hour today? Answer: I would use it to clean the garden and prepare a healthy dinner. Anna, a florist, asked herself these questions while arranging flowers. It improved her ability to respond quickly in conversations. Another advanced habit is reviewing conversations in your mind before sleeping. Think, what new word did I hear today? How did I use English today? Could I have used a better phrase? David, an accountant, kept this as part of his nightly routine. One night, he remembered a phrase from a customer, on short notice. The next day, he practiced, I can finish this report on short notice if needed. You can also involve your community. Write a small English note on your shop door. We open at 9 a.m. Thank you for visiting. Or leave a message for your neighbor. I watered your plants today because you were away. Hannah, who lived in a small neighborhood, did this and started receiving friendly English replies. One of the strongest ways to make English part of daily life at an advanced level is to turn ordinary interactions into structured practice. For example, when you go to a local shop, instead of only saying, "How much is this?" extend it. How much does this cost if I buy 2 pieces together? Adrian, who manages a small delivery business, started doing this with his suppliers. Over time, his questions became more natural and his understanding improved. Another useful activity is describing emotions in detail. Many people only use happy, sad, or tired. At a higher level, say, "I feel relieved because the task is complete. I feel confident about tomorrow's presentation." Jane, a mother of 2, practiced this every evening with her husband. It helped her express herself more accurately and avoid repeating simple words. You can also practice comparisons. When you see 2 similar objects, "This cup is slightly larger than that one. It keeps tea warmer longer because it has a thicker wall." Or compare experiences. "Yesterday was busier than today, but today was more productive." Oliver, who works in a storage facility, compared sizes, weights, and colors while organizing products. His descriptive ability became much sharper. An advanced habit is summarizing conversations immediately after they happen. For example, after a phone call, say, "I spoke with the supplier. He confirmed that the goods will arrive on Thursday, and he asked me to send the invoice tonight." Rachel, a secretary, started doing this with her husband after work. It prepared her for writing emails and reporting tasks without hesitation. To improve speaking rhythm, practice using pauses effectively. Instead of speaking too quickly, pause briefly to think, "I will check the document, then I will send it to the manager. After that, I will prepare tomorrow's list." Tom, a shop supervisor, trained himself to pause slightly between ideas during meetings. It helped him avoid mistakes and made his speech easier to follow. Another strategy is creating conditional questions for your own routine. If I finish my tasks early today, what will I do with the extra time? Answer: if I finish early, I will visit my neighbor to help him repair the fence. Sophia, a tailor, made one conditional question each morning and answered it in English. It improved her ability to think quickly when plans changed. You can also practice polite refusals, very important for professional communication. "Thank you for the offer, but I will not be able to join this time because I have another appointment." "I appreciate your suggestion. However, I think we should wait until next week." Daniel, a farmer, practiced this with his wife in the evenings. It gave him confidence to respond kindly, but firmly. A habit that builds vocabulary naturally is naming actions while doing them. I am folding the laundry. I am adjusting the shelves. I am sealing the box with tape. Elizabeth, who runs a home business, practiced this while packing items for delivery. It kept her vocabulary fresh for daily conversations. For C1 learners, using reported speech daily is beneficial. After someone tells you something, repeat it later. He said that the meeting was moved to 3 p.m. She told me she would prepare the documents tomorrow. Andrew, a driver, repeated his boss's instructions in reported speech every day. This helped him remember details and improved his grammar automatically. A powerful habit is turning small delays into practice time. When waiting in a queue, describe what is happening. There are 5 people in front of me. The cashier is checking the products slowly. A man behind me is holding 2 bags. Linda, who manages a grocery shop, used this every day. It reduced stress and made her more fluent. You can also rewrite simple notes into complete sentences. If your shopping list says milk, bread, sugar, rewrite it, I need to buy milk, bread, and sugar from the market. Henry, a carpenter, used this method for his work notes. Instead of writing wood, nails, paint, he wrote, I need to buy wood, nails, and paint for tomorrow's repair. This trained him to make proper sentences even in quick reminders. Another activity is making small announcements in English at home. Dinner will be ready in 10 minutes. Please wash your hands before coming to the table. I am going to the market now. Does anyone need something? Susan, who manages her home, started doing this to involve her children and husband. Soon, they answered in English naturally. Today, let's continue exploring how everyday English can be more natural, fluent, and a part of your daily life. Imagine a quiet Sunday morning. The sun is rising, and Daniel decides to take a short walk around his neighborhood before breakfast. As he steps outside, he greets his neighbor. Good morning, Miss Carter. How are you today? She smiles and replies, Good morning, Daniel. I am well, thank you. How are you? This small exchange is simple but important. It shows respect and spirit. You practice this kind of interaction whenever you meet someone in the morning, even if just a quick greeting. Daniel continues walking and stops at a small bakery. He asks the baker, Do you have fresh bread today? The baker replies, Yes, we just baked some whole grain bread. Would you like one? Daniel says, Yes, please. Could you slice it for me? Notice how polite requests make conversations smoother. Words like please, could you, and would you show kindness and build friendly relationships. Practicing these phrases daily helps them become automatic in your speech. On his way home, Daniel thinks about what he needs to do during the day. He makes a mental list. Finish the garden work, write an email to his friend Michael about next week's visit, and help his wife prepare lunch. Writing or saying your tasks out loud can improve both your memory and your English fluency. Try saying, Today I will clean the balcony, send 2 emails, and read a chapter of my book. This is a simple form of self-talk that trains your brain to think in English. After breakfast, Daniel's wife Emily reminds him to check the weather before planning a park visit with their children. He opens his phone and reads, The forecast says it will be sunny with light winds in the afternoon. Emily asks, Should we bring hats for the kids? Daniel replies, Yes, that would be a good idea. The sun might be strong. Here, you can learn useful phrases like, the forecast says, that would be a good idea, and the sun might be strong. Each are common in everyday family conversations. Later, Daniel calls his friend Michael to confirm their plans. Hi, Michael. I just wanted to confirm our plan for next Thursday. Are you free in the evening? Michael answers, "Yes, I am. Should I bring anything for dinner?" Daniel replies, "No, just yourself. Emily will prepare something simple." This is a real-life example where polite checking and confirming makes communication clear. In the afternoon, Daniel and his family go to the park. At the entrance, he notices a sign, "Please keep the park clean. Dispose of your waste properly." Daniel explains to his children, "We should always respect public spaces. Let's use the bins for any wrappers." When speaking English daily, include small explanations like this. It helps you practice giving instructions, teaching, or guiding others. In the park, they meet another family, Anna, Robert, and their little daughter. Emily says, "It has been a while since we met. How is everything at your end?" Anna smiles, "Quite good, thank you. We have been busy with work and school activities." Phrases like, "It has been a while," and "How is everything at your end?" are very useful when meeting someone after a long time. As they sit on a bench, Robert asks Daniel, "Do your kids enjoy outdoor activities?" Daniel answers, "Yes, they do. We try to bring them out at least 3 times a week. Fresh air and running around make them happy." Here, natural expressions like "at least 3 times a week" and "make them happy" fit easily into casual conversation. Later, Daniel helps Emily set the table for dinner. "I will cut the vegetables while you prepare the chicken," he says. Emily nods. "Perfect, thank you. Could you also fill the water jug?" This is a good example of dividing tasks at home using polite and clear language. Practicing household instructions in English connects your learning to real life. After dinner, the children ask, "Can we read a story before bedtime?" Emily replies, "Of course. Which one would you like tonight?" They choose a simple tale about a rabbit and a tortoise. Daniel reads aloud with clear pronunciation, and the children listen attentively. Reading aloud is one of the best ways to improve speaking and listening skills. Pick short stories, news articles, or even diary entries to read to yourself every day. The next morning, Daniel wakes up early and prepares his work desk. He sets his notebook, checks his schedule, and writes, "Today's goals: finish project notes, reply to 3 clients, and call the supplier about the delivery." Writing small goals in English helps you stay organized and keeps the language active in your daily routine. Before starting work, he calls the supplier. "Hello, this is Daniel from Greenleaf Company. I would like to ask about the delivery date for the new materials." The supplier replies, "Hello, Daniel. The delivery is planned for Wednesday afternoon. Does that work for you?" Daniel responds, "Yes, that works. Thank you for the update." This is practical, polite business English that fits into daily tasks. During lunch, Emily reminds him, "Don't forget to drink enough water today. It's quite warm outside." Daniel says, "Yes, I will keep a bottle on my desk." Simple reminders like this are part of everyday English. Practicing them builds casual speaking skills. In the late afternoon, Daniel receives an email from a client asking for a quick update. He writes, "Thank you for your email. I have checked the status and everything is on track. We will share the report by Friday." Writing polite, short, and clear emails improves with daily practice. After work, Daniel takes a short break with his children in the living room. They play a small game where each person says one good thing about their day. His daughter says, "I enjoyed drawing at school." His son says, "I liked playing football with my friends." Daniel says, I am happy that I finished my project early. This activity encourages positive communication and helps children practice expressing themselves in English. Later, Emily and Daniel discuss the coming weekend. Emily asks, "Should we visit my parents on Saturday or Sunday?" Daniel replies, "Let's choose Saturday. Sunday can be a day for rest." Planning with clear, simple choices is another part of everyday conversation you can practice. Before bedtime, Daniel checks his messages and writes down one new phrase he learned today. To keep track of something. He explains to Emily, it means to follow the progress or status of something carefully. Emily replies, "That's a useful one. You can use it when talking about work or even managing the household budget." This habit of writing one or two phrases daily is very effective for language learners. Each small example, from greeting a neighbor to writing a quick note, adds to daily English practice. The more you use them, the more natural your English becomes. Daniel's routine shows that you don't need long hours of study every day. Short, consistent interactions in English are enough to build a strong habit. Even waiting can become an opportunity to practice. See every day as a practice field. Whether ordering food, asking for directions, waiting in a queue, or traveling somewhere new, you can use English in real ways. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real. Remember small phrases like, "Excuse me, could you please? Would you mind? Thank you for your help. I really appreciate it." These are like keys in your pocket. When you have them ready, doors open. Sometimes we think we need a classroom or textbook to improve, but real progress often comes from little moments. Talking to a stranger, listening carefully, asking a simple question, or writing down a memory. When I look back at those trips and waiting times, I realize they were not delays or problems. They were lessons in patience, observation, and communication. Ask yourself, how can I start collecting these lessons in my own life? One way is to challenge yourself once a day. Pick a small moment where you would normally stay quiet and instead say one English sentence. It could be at a shop, online, or with a friend who also wants to practice. The more you do this, the less you fear mistakes, and the less you fear mistakes, the faster you learn. Another helpful habit is listening actively. Don't just listen to the words. Notice the rhythm, pauses, and polite expressions people use. When you hear someone explain something clearly, ask yourself, how did they do it? Did they use simple words? Did they use a polite phrase first? Did they smile or use a friendly tone? These are all parts of real communication. Once, while traveling, I met a family from another country at the airport. They spoke a little English, and we started talking while waiting for our flights. They shared stories about their trip, their favorite food, and their hometown. I listened carefully and repeated some of the words they used to describe their city. I said, "So, it is a very peaceful place with many small gardens?" They nodded and smiled because I showed I was listening. This is an important skill. Repeat or rephrase what someone says to show understanding. It builds connection and makes conversations smoother. You can practice this even when watching movies or listening to songs in English. Pause after a sentence and repeat it in your own words. For example, if a character says, "It's really crowded today," you can respond, So there are many people today. It may feel simple, but this is how you train your brain to respond naturally. All these moments, asking for help, waiting patiently, telling small stories, observing polite language, are part of daily life. They don't need special preparation, only a little courage and awareness. Next time you go out, look for one chance to use English in a real way. It might be as small as saying good morning to a visitor. Now, I want to talk about something that touches almost everyone, the importance of setting personal goals and the steps we take to achieve them. Many people go through their days reacting to events without a clear plan. They wake up, go to work or school, complete tasks, and return home, feeling like time is just passing by. But when you set clear goals, everything gains direction. You know where you are heading, and every small effort starts connecting to something bigger. Think about a young man named Daniel. He always dreamed of starting his own bakery. At first, it seemed impossible. He had little money, limited experience, and many responsibilities at home. But he made a plan. His first step was learning baking techniques through free online courses. After work, he spent an hour each day learning and practicing. Slowly, his skills improved. Then he began saving a small part of his salary each month to buy equipment. It took 2 years, but finally, Daniel opened a small bakery in his neighborhood. Today, his shop is known for fresh bread and a friendly atmosphere. The key to his success was not just dreaming, but setting realistic goals and staying consistent. You can apply the same principle to your English learning. Many learners say, "I want to speak English fluently," but they do not define what that means. Does it mean understanding movies without subtitles, or having a 20-minute conversation without feeling nervous? The clearer your goal, the better your results will be. For example, you might say, "I will watch a 5-minute English video every day and write down 5 new words." That is a simple, achievable goal. After a month, you will see real progress. When we talk about goals, we also need to consider obstacles. Life is not always smooth. Sometimes you may get sick, lose motivation, or face unexpected challenges like family emergencies or financial issues. This is normal. The trick is not to give up completely. Think of your goal as a road trip. There may be traffic jams or detours, but if you keep driving, you will reach your destination. Taking a break is fine. Stopping forever is what prevents success. I once met a woman named Aisha at a community learning center. She was 45 and had never learned a second language before. She told me her children inspired her to learn English so she could help with their homework. At first, she struggled even with basic greetings, but she did something smart. She joined a group where everyone practiced only 10 minutes a day. It didn't sound like much, but over a year, those 10 minutes added up to more than 60 hours of practice. Now she can read simple books and even write emails to her children's teachers. Her story shows that small daily habits create big changes. Another key idea is accountability. When you share your goal with someone, it becomes stronger. If you want to exercise, telling a friend makes it harder to skip. The same is true for language learning. Tell a friend, "I will send you 1 English sentence every day." Suddenly, you have a reason to keep going. This is why many successful learners join online groups or find a study partner. The support makes a huge difference. Now let's talk about rewards. People often think of rewards as something big, like buying an expensive gift, but small rewards are even more powerful. For instance, after a week of practicing English, treat yourself to a favorite snack or watch a movie you love. Your brain starts to connect effort with pleasure, and this is how habits stick. There is also the mental side of goal setting. Many people fail not because their goals are too big, but because they let negative thoughts control them. Thoughts like, I'm too old, or I'm not smart enough, act like heavy backpacks that make the journey harder. Instead, practice positive self-talk. Say, I'm learning a little more each day, or every mistake is a step toward improvement. This may sound simple, but it changes your energy. For busy people, micro goals are a lifesaver. Micro goals are small actions that take less than 5 minutes. For example, listening to a short podcast while brushing your teeth, or learning one new word while waiting for the bus. These tiny steps don't feel heavy, but over weeks and months, they create amazing results. I remember a friend named Carlos who worked long hours at a factory. He always said, I do not have time to study. One day, he decided to listen to English news for 5 minutes during lunch. Then he added one short article before bed. After a year, he noticed he could understand more and speak with confidence. He did not change his job or schedule. He only added small, regular actions. Another helpful technique is visualization. Athletes use this all the time. Before a competition, they imagine themselves crossing the finish line. You can do the same with language. Picture yourself in a cafe in London ordering coffee confidently. Imagine yourself in a job interview answering questions clearly. This mental rehearsal prepares your brain and makes the goal feel real. Writing your goals down is also powerful. A written goal is like a contract with yourself. Put it on a sticky note, your phone's wallpaper, or in a notebook. Every time you see it, you remind yourself why you started. I visited a university program last year. Students wrote their goals for the semester on the board at the library entrance. Some wrote, read 10 books. Others wrote, pass all exams. A few wrote, speak English with confidence. At the end of the semester, those who wrote their goals publicly achieved more than those who kept them private. Visibility creates responsibility. Some people wait for perfect conditions, a quiet room, a special teacher, or expensive materials. But the truth is, starting is more important than waiting for perfect. There is a proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If you start today, even with something small, your future self will thank you. Maria wanted to improve her English for her job in customer service. She had no extra money for courses, so she used free mobile apps and online videos. She practiced with customers by asking one extra question in English every day, like, how was your weekend? Or, did you find everything you were looking for? After 6 months, her manager noticed her progress and offered a promotion. She did not wait for a big opportunity. She created one through daily action. Reflection is another powerful tool. Every week, take 5 minutes to ask yourself, what went well? What was difficult? What can I try differently next week? This simple habit keeps your learning alive and prevents going in circles. Not all goals are about speed. Some are about depth. Instead of trying to learn 100 new words in a week, focus on mastering 20 words deeply. Their meaning, pronunciation, and usage. Deep learning is slower but stronger. Mistakes are natural. Think of a baby learning to walk. They fall hundreds of times, but nobody tells them to stop. In language, every mistake is a lesson. Mispronounce a word and someone corrects you. Then that word becomes unforgettable. Make learning fun by connecting it to your interests. Love cooking? Read recipes in English. Enjoy football? Watch match commentary in English. Learning becomes easier when your heart is involved. Storytelling also helps memory. If you are learning the word generous, create a story. Tom was generous because he gave his friend a gift when she was sad. Stories stick better than lists. Technology is your friend. Free podcasts, videos, and apps provide small daily lessons. But don't just collect apps. Pick one or two and use them consistently. Mix active and passive learning. Active learning is writing, speaking, or practicing. Passive learning is listening or watching. Both are important, but active learning creates faster progress. Create a routine. The brain loves patterns. Study at the same time every day, like right after breakfast, and your mind starts preparing automatically. People often ask, how long will it take to become fluent? There is no single answer. It depends on your effort, your starting level, and your practice. But with consistent effort, most people make real progress in 6 to 12 months. Support from family and friends is helpful too. Tell them about your goal so they encourage you instead of distracting you. Finally, celebrate small victories. If you could not speak last month and now you can introduce yourself, that is a success. Now, imagine a quiet library. You are searching for a history book. You walk to the information desk and politely ask, "Excuse me, could you help me find books about ancient civilizations?" The librarian smiles and says, "Of course, they are in section B3, right next to the World History shelf." This simple moment allows you to practice polite phrases like, "Excuse me," and "Could you help me?" When you say these lines out loud, you train your tongue to form clear sentences and your ears to recognize everyday helpful responses. Libraries are great places to practice speaking softly yet clearly. Asking for help is always a natural way to start a conversation. Now, imagine going to a new city for the first time. You step off the bus or train and look around, trying to find your way. A friendly passerby notices you checking a map and asks, "Are you visiting here?" You answer, "Yes, it's my first time in the city. Could you recommend a nice place for lunch?" This type of exchange is short, but it builds confidence. It includes a greeting, answering a question, and then asking for advice. Each part uses everyday English that people actually say. Practice saying, "It's my first time here," and notice how natural it feels. Adding a simple follow-up, like, "What do you suggest?" helps the conversation continue smoothly. Now, picture a busy market with colorful fruits, vegetables, and spices all around you. You want to buy some apples. You greet the seller, "Good afternoon. How much are these apples?" The seller replies, "They are $2 a kilo." You smile and say, "Great, I'll take 2 kilos, please." Here, you are practicing numbers, polite requests, and expressions used during shopping. To make it more interesting, you could ask about the quality. Are they sweet? Or when were they picked? Every little question helps the conversation flow naturally. Imagine you are in a small coffee shop working on your laptop. The barista comes by and says, Would you like a refill? You answer, yes, please. Could you make it a cappuccino this time? This small change gives you a chance to practice different vocabulary for beverages. After receiving your drink, you could add, thank you, it smells amazing. Using small compliments often makes interactions warm and memorable. It helps you connect with people in a friendly way. Think of another useful situation, asking for the time. Maybe your phone battery died, or you simply want to start a friendly chat. You approach someone and ask, excuse me, what time is it? The person answers, it's 4. You reply, thank you very much. Then you continue with a follow-up. Is there a bus stop nearby? Combining two simple questions adds depth to your practice. Asking for the time is common, but adding another question about directions makes the conversation feel real. Imagine traveling by plane. During the flight, the cabin crew offers snacks. You hear, would you like something to drink? You answer, yes. Could I have some water, please? Later, you might ask, how long until we land? These lines are short, but very useful when traveling. Practicing them out loud makes your trips more comfortable because you won't hesitate to ask or answer similar questions. Now, picture a work or school scenario where you need clarification. Your colleague or teacher explains something, but you are not sure you understood. You say, I'm sorry, could you explain that again? Or, could you say that in a different way? These phrases are polite and show that you care about understanding correctly. They give the other person a chance to repeat or simplify their words. Practicing them helps you stay active in conversations and shows that asking for help is a strength.
Think about making a restaurant reservation over the phone. You call and say, hello, I'd like to make a reservation for 2 at 7 o'clock this evening. The person replies, certainly. May I have your name? You answer, yes, my name is Daniel. This call includes greeting, giving details, and clearly spelling information if needed. Practicing phone conversations helps you get comfortable with speaking without seeing the other person, which can sometimes feel challenging. Imagine joining a fitness class for the first time. The instructor asks, have you done yoga before? You say, no, this is my first class. Then you add, could you please tell me if I need any special equipment? Later, you can thank the instructor. I really enjoyed the class. Thank you for your help today. Small conversations before and after activities make your English more natural and help you connect with people. Picture a park where a tourist asks for directions. Excuse me, do you know where the nearest metro station is? You reply, yes, go straight ahead and turn left at the corner. Practicing directions is very useful because it includes common words like straight, left, right, next to, and behind. If you are asking, practice saying, could you please show me on the map? These interactions are quick but realistic. Now, think about an online meeting or class. At the start, greet everyone. Good morning. Can you all hear me clearly? When you want to add your idea, say, I would like to add something to that point. At the end, close politely. Thank you for your time today. It was a productive session. These lines help you sound professional and polite in digital environments. Practicing them is very valuable as English is often used online now. Picture a clothing store. You want to try on a jacket. You ask, excuse me, do you have this in a medium size? The assistant replies, yes, let me check in the back. After trying it on, you say, it fits well, I'll take it.
Practicing shopping dialogues helps you remember size words, colors, and polite requests. If the jacket doesn't fit, you can say, "I'm looking for something a bit larger." Imagine visiting a friend's home. When you arrive, you say, "Thank you for inviting me." During the meal, "This tastes wonderful. Did you cook it yourself?" At the end of the visit, "I had a lovely time. Thank you for your hospitality." These expressions show appreciation and create warm conversations. Think about using English at a hospital or clinic. You tell the receptionist, "I have an appointment at 10 o'clock. To explain symptoms, "I have had a headache for 2 days." At the end, you can say, "Thank you for your care." Practicing these lines makes it easier to describe your health clearly and respectfully. Picture joining a local club or community group. You introduce yourself. "Hi, my name is Sarah. I am new here." Someone asks, "What brings you to our club?" You answer, "I wanted to meet new people and practice my English." This builds confidence because it's about your personal goal. Practicing introductions helps you start friendships more easily. Think about giving compliments. You can say, "You did a great job on that presentation," or "I like your style. Where did you get that jacket?" Compliments are friendly and help you connect. Adding a follow-up question keeps the conversation going. Imagine asking for help with public transport. You ask the driver, "Does this bus go to the city center?" If yes, great. How much is the fare? If no, which bus should I take? These exchanges are practical for real travel. Think about ordering food at a fast food restaurant. "I would like a chicken burger with extra lettuce, please." The cashier asks, "Would you like a drink with that?" You reply, "Yes, a bottle of water, thank you." Practicing food orders helps you get comfortable with menu words and polite forms like "I would like." Consider talking about the weather. A neighbor says, "It's quite cold today, isn't it?" You respond, "Yes, winter came early this year." Weather is one of the easiest ways to start a conversation. Practicing simple lines about sun, rain, wind, or snow gives you ready topics for small talk. Imagine asking for help in a bookstore. You ask, "Could you recommend a good mystery novel?" The seller replies, "Yes, this one is very popular right now." You say, "I will take it. Thank you." Let's continue exploring practical, real-life situations for English practice, keeping everything fresh, engaging, and accessible. Imagine a morning when you are getting ready for work or school. You check the weather and see it's raining. Instead of feeling frustrated, you prepare by taking an umbrella and wearing a raincoat. You greet your spouse. "Good morning. Do you want me to bring your umbrella too?" Simple sentences like this help you practice polite offers and caring expressions. Small habits like greeting and offering help every morning make English practice part of your daily life without extra effort. Now, let's think about a visit to the supermarket. You want to buy vegetables, but you aren't sure which ones are fresh. You approach the vendor and ask, "Excuse me, are these tomatoes ripe?" The vendor smiles and says, "Yes, these are very fresh, picked this morning." You could follow up with, "How much for a kilo?" Using polite question forms like this makes communication smoother and your shopping experience easier. If the vendor responds, you can listen carefully to get natural listening practice. Now, let's move to public transport. Imagine you are at a bus stop, waiting for the next bus. A man approaches and asks, "Is this the bus to the Central Market?" You answer, "Yes, it stops there in about 10 minutes. Even though this interaction is short, It is very useful. It practices the simple present tense and time-related expressions. Small conversations like this build your confidence to speak English in public spaces. Consider a situation in a cafe where you meet a friend. You arrive and say, "Hi, it's nice to see you. Would you like something to drink?" Your friend replies, "Yes, coffee would be great." Then you ask, "Do you prefer it black or with milk?" These dialogues let you practice common phrases, choices, and polite offers. After ordering, you could comment, "I love this cafe. The atmosphere is very relaxing." Using expressions like this helps you naturally describe surroundings and share your feelings. Now, imagine visiting a post office. You need to send a parcel to a friend. You greet the clerk. "Hello, I would like to send this package to another city." The clerk asks, "Do you want express delivery or standard delivery?" You answer, "Express, please. How much will it cost?" Practicing situations like this helps you learn service-related vocabulary and polite communication in public institutions. Think about attending a community event or a workshop. You arrive and introduce yourself. "Hello, my name is Michael. I am happy to be here and learn new skills." Another participant replies, "Nice to meet you. What brings you here?" You respond, "I wanted to meet new people and improve my English while learning something new." This is a great chance to practice introductions, explaining your reasons, and listening to others. Such interactions help build confidence for social or professional environments. Imagine needing directions while walking in a city. You approach a local and ask, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the train station?" The person answers, "Go straight for 2 blocks and turn right at the traffic lights." You follow up with, "Thank you. Is it far from here?" Short exchanges like this are practical and provide natural listening practice. Using polite expressions like "excuse me" and "thank you" creates positive interactions with strangers. Now, picture attending a small gathering with colleagues or neighbors. You want to join the conversation. You can start with a simple observation. "It looks like spring is finally here. The weather is so pleasant." Others might agree, and then you can add, "Do you have any plans for the weekend?" Small talk is important because it builds social skills in English. Practicing questions and comments about common topics like weather, food, and leisure makes conversations feel natural. Consider visiting a pharmacy when you feel unwell. You ask the pharmacist, "Could you recommend something for a mild headache?" They reply, "Yes, take this medicine twice a day after meals." You thank them, "Thank you very much for your help." Situations like this teach medical vocabulary and polite request forms. Practicing these interactions ensures you can communicate confidently in real-life situations. Think about joining a library or reading club. You approach the librarian. "Hello, I would like to join the reading group. Can you tell me the schedule?" The librarian responds, "We meet every Thursday at 5 p.m. You say, "Thank you. That works perfectly." This helps you use polite questions and responses while connecting your personal interests to conversation. Now, let's imagine a scene at a train station ticket counter. You say, "Good afternoon. I would like to buy a ticket to the city center for tomorrow morning." The clerk asks, "Do you prefer a window seat or an aisle seat?" You answer, "A window seat, please. How much is it?" Practicing these sentences prepares you for travel situations, builds listening skills, and increases confidence in formal interactions. Picture a restaurant with a group of friends. You want to order food for everyone. You say, "Could I have 3 vegetarian pizzas and 2 sandwiches, please?" The waiter asks, "Would you like drinks with that?" You respond, "Yes, 4 bottles of water, please." Practicing group orders helps you learn numbers, quantities, and polite forms. It also builds confidence when speaking for others. Consider a local market scenario where you buy clothes. You ask the shop assistant, "Do you have this shirt in medium size?" They reply, "Yes, we have medium and large." You try it on and say, "This fits perfectly. I will take it. Thank you." Practicing clothing vocabulary, sizes, and polite exchanges makes everyday shopping easier. Think about attending a small seminar or workshop. The instructor asks, "Do you have any questions about today's topic?" You raise your hand and say, "Yes, could you explain the last point again, please?" This gives you practice in formal situations and polite ways to ask for clarification. Expressions like, "Could you explain?" or "Would you mind repeating?" help you stay polite and professional. Imagine speaking with a taxi driver. You say, "Good evening. I need to go to the airport, please." The driver asks, "Which terminal?" You answer, "Terminal 2. Thank you." Practicing transport-related phrases keeps your sentences simple and increases confidence when giving instructions. Now, picture a hotel lobby. You ask the receptionist, "Hello, could you tell me if the gym is open today?" They answer, "Yes, it is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You respond, "Great, thank you very much." Simple questions about facilities and polite responses help you gain experience using English in travel and service environments. Consider visiting a community center for a class or activity. You introduce yourself. "Hi, I am Lucy. I am excited to join this class and meet new people." The instructor replies, "Welcome, Lucy. What is your experience with this activity?" You answer, "I am a beginner, but I am eager to learn." Practicing introductions, explaining experience, and showing eagerness makes social and learning interactions more natural. Think about going to a bank to open a new account. You greet the teller, "Good morning. I would like to open a savings account." They ask, "Do you have your identification with you?" You reply, "Yes, here is my ID. Could you please guide me through the process?" Practicing service-based English prepares you for financial and administrative situations. Now picture meeting someone new in a park while walking your dog. You say, "Hello, my dog seems to enjoy meeting others. What is your dog's name?" They reply, "His name is Max." You respond, "Nice to meet Max. How old is he?" Practicing introductions and small personal questions develops casual conversation skills. Imagine shopping at a bakery. You say, "Good morning. I would like 3 croissants and 2 muffins, please." The baker asks, "Would you like them warm?" You respond, "Yes, that would be perfect. Thank you." Practicing food orders politely while specifying details like quantity or temperature improves communication fluency. Consider asking for advice in a bookshop. You approach a seller and say, "Could you recommend a good book for learning English?" The seller replies, "Yes, this one is excellent for vocabulary and grammar practice. You respond, "Thank you, I will try it." Practicing questions for advice and following up with gratitude is useful in daily conversations. Now imagine checking into a clinic. You say, "Hello, I have an appointment with Dr. Smith at 10 a.m. The receptionist replies, "Yes, please take a seat. The doctor will see you shortly." All of these examples, supermarket visits, public transport conversations, cafe chats, post office errands, or even small interactions at the library or clinic, show one important truth. English is everywhere in daily life. You don't need a classroom or special materials to practice. Every small conversation, every polite question, every friendly greeting is a chance to improve your English. Remember, the goal is consistency, not perfection. Start small, use simple sentences, and gradually expand your vocabulary and confidence. Repeat phrases, ask questions, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. They are proof that you are trying and growing. Set achievable goals, celebrate small wins, and integrate English naturally into your routines. Whether it's ordering food, asking for directions, introducing yourself, or talking about the weather, every interaction is an opportunity to practice and strengthen your skills. Most importantly, enjoy the process. Make English a part of your life, not a task. The more you engage, the more natural it will feel. And over time, you will notice a transformation. Your English will become smoother, your confidence higher, and your ability to connect with people in English more effortless. So take these lessons, try them in your daily life, and remember, every small step counts. Keep practicing, keep listening, keep speaking, and you will see progress every single day. You've got this, and your English journey is just getting started. Hello and welcome to the English Without Limit podcast. I'm Julia, and I'm so happy to have you here today. If this is your first time with us, let me share a little about what we do. This is the place where you can improve your English every single day. We focus on listening practice, real-life examples, and engaging stories that make learning natural, enjoyable, and easy to apply. We release new episodes regularly so you can practice English daily and grow more confident step by step. Today, we're talking about everyday English practice. I'll show you how to use English naturally in your daily life, even when you're busy, tired, or not sure where to start. I'll also share stories and examples from my life and from people I know to make it easier to understand and follow. Let's start with a simple question. How often do you use English during your normal day? Many learners tell me they don't have time to sit down for an hour and study. They think they need a book or a formal lesson to learn something new, but that's not true. English can be part of your everyday life without feeling like a burden. For example, I know a man named Daniel. He's a carpenter with a very busy routine. Every morning, while having breakfast, he spends just 10 minutes reading a short English article about home improvement tips. At first, he understood only a few sentences, but after a few months, he started recognizing many words. One day, a customer from another country came to his workshop, and Daniel explained his services in English clearly. He told me later that this small daily habit built his confidence more than he expected. Another great example is Sarah, a young mother living in a small town. She has 2 children and no extra time for a formal class. So she turned her daily routine into an English practice ground. When she cooks, she reads the recipe in English. When she goes shopping, she writes her grocery list in English. And in the evenings, she shares one new English phrase she learned that day with her husband. Her husband supports her and even asks her to teach him sometimes. Over time, Sarah started thinking in English when planning her day. This small change helped her progress much faster than before. One very powerful way to practice English every day is to describe what you see around you. Imagine walking to work or riding the bus. You can quietly describe what is happening. The street is busy. A man is crossing the road. The sky is cloudy. It may sound simple, but it trains your brain to connect English with real-life situations. I do this often when I travel. Last week, I visited a market to buy fresh vegetables. While choosing tomatoes and onions, I quietly said in English, "These tomatoes look fresh. I will buy half a kilogram." The vendor is smiling. Small exercises like this help build strong daily habits. Here's another story. Robert works in an office. He wanted to improve his English, but felt shy speaking with others. So he started a daily journal in English. Every night, he wrote 5 sentences about his day. One evening, he wrote, "Today was very busy. I fixed a problem with a client's order. At lunch, I learned a new word from my colleague." This practice took only 5 minutes, but after 3 months, his writing became much more fluent. Later, when his company needed someone to respond to international emails, Robert felt ready and confident. If you want to make your English practice more engaging, you can involve your family too. For example, Emily and her husband David made a small rule. During dinner, they share 1 sentence in English each day. Sometimes it's about plants. "Tomorrow I will visit the market." Sometimes about feelings. "I'm happy today because the weather is nice." Their children watch them and learn too. The goal isn't perfection, it's about using English naturally in real life. Many people think they need the perfect time or perfect resources to start learning. But let me tell you about James, a taxi driver I met last month. He always carries a small notebook. While waiting for passengers, he writes down 2 or 3 English words he hears from tourists. Later, he looks up their meaning or asks someone. One day, he wrote the word shortcut because a passenger used it. The next day, he practiced saying, "This road is a shortcut to the station." Slowly, his communication with foreign passengers improved. He even received more tips because he made their travel easier. Now, you might be wondering, how can I start this in my own life? The answer is simple. Pick one daily moment and make it your English time. It could be morning tea, your walk, prayer reflection, or folding clothes. You don't need to change your entire schedule. Start small and stay consistent. A student named Olivia once told me, "I never had time for a class, but I listened to a 5-minute English podcast every morning while preparing breakfast. Now I can understand conversations much better." Everyday English practice isn't about perfection. It's about connection. It's about bringing English into your real life. You can make mistakes. You might forget words. But every time you try, your brain strengthens in English. Think about your daily routine. Where can you add English without feeling heavy? Can you describe your morning? Write your shopping list. Greet someone with a simple English sentence. Small steps like these become powerful over time. Now, let's move on to more advanced ideas to bring English into your life. Many learners at the C1 level already know a lot of vocabulary and grammar, but struggle to express their thoughts naturally. One highly effective technique is called shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a sentence in English and immediately repeating it, matching the speaker's rhythm and intonation. For example, Thomas, an engineer, listened to short news updates in English during his commute. When the reporter said, "The company announced a new project this morning," Thomas repeated quietly, "The company announced a new project this morning." At first, it felt strange, but after 2 weeks, his pronunciation improved and he felt more confident speaking in meetings with international clients. Another method is explaining things in detail, even to yourself. For instance, instead of just saying, "I am making tea," try expanding. "I am boiling water, then I will add a teaspoon of tea leaves and let it steep for 3 minutes. This habit trains your brain to use descriptive language and full sentences. I practiced this when preparing for a presentation. I described each step out loud. I am opening the laptop. I am reviewing the slides. I am checking the microphone. Later, when I spoke in front of the audience, my words came more naturally because I had trained my mind to build complete thoughts. Today, I want to share some powerful ways to bring English into your everyday life. Let's start with a story about a married couple, Daniel and Anna. They decided to improve their English together and created a small challenge. Every evening after dinner, they would pick a topic and talk about it in English for 5 minutes. One evening, their topic was planning a weekend. Daniel said, "This Saturday, I want to clean the garden and fix the broken fence." Anna replied, "I would like to bake bread and invite my sister's family for lunch." These short, simple conversations became a daily habit. After a few months, they noticed they were using more complex sentences like, "If the weather stays sunny, we can finish the garden work earlier and then take a short walk." Another great practice is asking yourself questions in English during your daily activities. For example, when I go to the market, I ask myself, "What do I need to buy today? How much should I spend? Which shop has the best prices?" By asking and answering in English, you create a natural dialogue in your mind. A student named Samuel told me he started doing this while driving to work. He would ask, "What is my plan for today? Which task is the most important? How will I explain this project to my manager?" After some time, he noticed he could organize his thoughts in English much faster. This also helped him write better reports at work. Reading aloud is another powerful daily habit. If you only read silently, you may understand the words, but your eyes, mouth, and tongue don't get practice. Try reading aloud for 5 minutes every day. I remember a woman named Helen who worked in a hospital. She read medical articles in English aloud before starting her shift. At first, she stumbled over difficult words, but soon she could pronounce them correctly. When foreign patients came, she could explain things clearly because her mouth was already familiar with the phrases. Do you want to make your daily English even more active? Try teaching someone else a small thing you learned. Teaching is one of the best ways to remember information. For example, Peter used to learn 3 new words every day. After dinner, he would tell his wife those words and make one sentence with each. One day, he taught her the word efficient and said, "Today I was efficient at work because I finished my tasks before lunch." His wife smiled and used the same word the next day. Slowly, English became a shared practice in their home. Another story is about Laura, a teacher who wanted her students to become more fluent without extra homework. She gave them a simple task. Every morning, describe one part of the previous day in English. One student said, "Yesterday, I went to the bakery and bought fresh bread for breakfast." Another said, "I cleaned my room and organized my desk." These daily reflections help the students build strong habits without heavy study time. For advanced learners, it's also important to notice small differences in meaning. For example, there's a difference between "I am used to waking up early" and "I used to wake up early." One shows a current habit, the other a past habit. Practicing these phrases daily makes your English more precise. You can create your own sentences. For example, "I am used to drinking tea without sugar now, but before, I used to add 2 teaspoons. Now, let's talk about another powerful habit, setting a daily mini goal. It should be small and clear. For example, today I will use 3 phrasal verbs in my conversation. Or, today I will write a message in English to my colleague. Andrew, who manages a small shop, set a goal to greet 1 customer in English every day. At first, he only said, "Hello, how are you?" But later he added, "Did you find everything you needed?" These small steps built his